Welcome in. It's Friday. This is Three Man Front on Jocks. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 2 o'clock. Well, for the third consecutive year, the Southeastern Conference will not be holding up the national championship in college football. Very disappointed as the Miami Hurricanes score with 18 seconds left to knock off the Ole Miss Rebels, and no SEC teams, Landrum, left standing for another year. This is a very odd occurrence.
It is, and it's a shame for Ole Miss fans, for the SEC, but what a treat for college football fans. Just got to watch that game. If you didn't have a rooting interest, you have to appreciate just the entertainment level that we got last night in the semifinal.
No, it was a great game. Needless to say, it was kind of an ugly first half, especially for Rebel fans, because they just really couldn't get anything going offensively, and that's credit to Miami for what Miami was able to do defensively. But the second half lived up to all the billing, as Miami now gets to play in their home stadium for a national championship. So that's kind of crazy.
It is crazy, and a tip of the cap to Mario Cristobal, and we know that, and we've said it. We like Mario here on the show, but you can't get around the fact that he has bungled big time moments in big time games, whether it was at Oregon, whether it was at Miami. Miami fans will attest to that. But Mario Cristobal and getting it done. And you look at the run that they've made so far through the college football playoff, I would say definitely a tested run. And you're having to go to College Station, face that team at Kyle Field, then doing what they did against that Ohio State team. And then last night, Ole Miss, America's darling team, and a team that I thought looked like for most of the game it was the team that wanted it more, but resilient Miami and Carson Beck coming up big when he needed to.
Yeah, you mentioned Carson Beck, the former Alabama commitment. If you had never heard that on this show before, we hear that almost every Tuesday.
We'll probably hear it again.
The former Alabama commitment back in 2018, who then went to the University of Georgia, and then, of course, went to Miami, broke up with the Cavinder twin, whichever one it was. And so now he finds himself playing for a national championship. 18 seconds left. Of all things, he runs it in, of all people. But he had a wide open avenue, got in the end zone. But Mark Fletcher continues his angry running. I mean, this running back, I know the NFL doesn't pay a lot of money for running backs, but when he gets that opportunity to play at the next level, I think a lot of people are going to be lined up for his services. He ran for 133 yards. And it was interesting because Pete Golding before the game, he basically said the key for the defense is we have to tackle. And Ole Miss did a horrible job tackling.
Yeah, it was not great.
Horrible. On that one drive, I think it was towards the end of the first half, when Miami was facing a 3rd and 7 I think they were in the red zone, and Ole Miss had him stopped. And then he got out of it. Was it Tony that got out of it?
Was that the one where Perkins literally had him wrapped up around his leg?
Yeah. Was that against Tony?
Yeah.
And then Tony squirted out of it and was able to get the first down, and then they ultimately scored a touchdown. It seemed like there were multiple opportunities on third down. Ole Miss could not stop them. And if you look at the final stat, Miami, they were 11 of 19 on third down, whereas Ole Miss were 2 of 10. So that was kind of the difference. It was interesting because for a long part of the game, Ole Miss had that touchdown by Lacey, but they had not gotten a first down. Now, you get a credit for a first down when he runs for the touchdown, but they had not had a running first down or a passing first down for the majority of the first half, but they had that one touchdown.
Yeah, and you go back, and Ole Miss was able to come up with big plays. You have the deflected interception that ends a drive for Miami. You're able to hold them to a field goal. You go back to Ole Miss, and as good as that kicker is, boy, that was tough. The doink off the left upright. You look at that, he makes that actually goes in, then you're looking at a different scenario there at the end of the game.
Yeah, because they get the ball down to the 35-yard line,
yeah,
and
you're
then
not trusting
that's his range.
Yeah, let him kick another one from 52, but it didn't happen. That stinks.
But you could also say on the other side of that,
yes,
and I hate to go away from your narrative because I love your narrative.
I know, but yeah,
Miami missed one too.
They did. They did. And Miami missed opportunities. And you could also say, hey, Miami, the 30 yards and unsportsmanlikes that we got from the targeting and whatever that aided in Ole Miss and that scoring drive that they had certainly didn't help either.
Well, I mean, you just look at this game could have gone sideways if some things had gone Miami's way. I mean, they had, I think, at least 4 interceptions that they just dropped, like in the hand. Like, I'm not talking a batted pass, like in the breadbasket, just dropped it. You had a bunch of penalties. You lost the turnover battle. you had the ball for almost 42 minutes and you still almost lost. Like, there were so many things that went against them that they kind of shot themselves in the foot. But
you had a would-be pick
overcome.
six for sure.
Yeah.
And then there towards the end of the game when you had the heave down the seam and you
we
had
like
the extra
3
guy
different
that came over.
guys. Yeah.
And he couldn't. That's why you're a DB and not a receiver.
Correct.
So Miami's the first team in college football playoff history with multiple scoring drives of 15-plus plays. I think they had 4 drives of over 13 plays. I mean, they just, man, once they got it, Ole Miss, just very frustrating. They could not get off the field. Miami had a 59 yards of total offense, 75 yards on that final drive that was the game winner. And as we started the show, it's just very odd because this is the 3rd straight year that the SEC will not have a team in the national championship game. The league has not gone that long. And unfortunately, I was covering it, was back 1999 through 2002. That's when Florida State, Oklahoma, and Miami, those were the 3 national champions. And the SEC had no one that was playing for the national title in those years. But you think about the last 3 years, the SEC, they're 3-8 in college football playoff games. So it's got to be concerning around the league. And, of course, I've been hit up by a million people on Twitter the last 12 hours, people making fun of the SEC, and that's fine because I'm a firm believer if you win, you can crow as loud as you want to because it was the job of the other team to stop you. So it is what it is. But you just kind of wonder, it's interesting because in this new age of college football, it seems like once it was above board that you could pay players, the SEC has problems now. Where in the old days, when we all know it was being done under the table, the SEC dominated. But you can't say that anymore.
No, you can't. And it's all kind of changed. I was just continue to marvel at looking at other teams' rosters and that guy played at Auburn, that guy played at Alabama, that guy played here, that guy played there. It's the new nature of college football. It's our existence, and we got to get used to it. But general managers, that's why these guys are making, in some cases, $1.5 million per year to go and find personnel and find fits and guys that work and will fit in your locker room and get it done on the field. And credit Miami. They have assembled and bought them a great team, and Cristobal has gotten them to where they are.
Yeah, look, the conversation's not going to go away, especially with the Big Ten right now, because they can puff out their chest and talk about how great they are. But I do think with Miami playing for a national championship, especially if they win it all, maybe you start to see that narrative go away a little bit. Because, again, I think we all agree the ACC is the weakest conference. Their conference champion didn't even make the playoff, yet they have a team that might go win the national championship. It just kind of goes to show that a lot of these conferences maybe – as great as the SEC is, and we know it is, the reality is a lot of these conferences maybe just have 2 or 3 really great teams every year, and that's where a lot of your disparity comes
and now with the parity that you have in the matchups, you get a team like Miami that a lot like we see in baseball and a lot like we see in March Madness in the basketball tournament. You get that team that gets that hot hand, and they get feeling it, and they get on a roll, and sometimes that team becomes your national champion.
So congratulations to former Auburn DB Keontae Scott and former Alabama offensive lineman James Brockermeyer, because both will play for a national championship for Miami. Remember, Brockermeyer was pretty much thrown on the woodpile. Like Alabama was like, this guy, his brother transferred out quick.
Tommy.
He went to TCU, right?
Yeah, he flamed out first, and he left. And then his brother James stuck around another year, and he never could sniff the offensive line on the first team for Bama. And so now he's the center for Miami, going to play for a national championship. So, and Keontae Scott, of course, was a DB for Auburn, and now he's playing for a national championship. So, like you said, look at the rosters. You're going to see a multitude of guys that you're not going to see someone that's going to be there for 4 years. They're all going to be mercenaries.
No, and you have a veteran, all SEC type quarterback that's leading your offense in his, 5th, 6th year of college football.
Well, and I'm not projecting that this guy's going to go anywhere, but again, even a team like Miami, right? We all agree Tony's incredible. He's one of the best players in the country as a freshman. You don't think that there's schools out there that are going to say, hey, what about this number? Is that enough to make you move? Like, even these guys that you look at and you're like, man, they really seem to like the program and they've really bought into this team thing. And the almighty dollar still speaks.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you want to be successful, but then you get on. It's just like the NCAA basketball tournament. In the old days, it used to be the basketball coaches, like whoever got their team on a run in March from like a mid-major, those guys were guaranteed they were going to get a big payday because both Alabama and Auburn had fallen victim to that in the past, where they go out and hire these mid-major guys and they end up not working out quite like they should. And the same can be said about these players now in the college football playoff, like Tony. I mean,
he's incredible.
I mean, what you just saw, would you rather pay him more than Cam Coleman?
No.
Mm-mm.
That one catch he made that didn't count.
I mean, you could do more.
Stupid.
You could do more with Tony in an offense than you could Cam Coleman.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think there's a lot of people that right now would say Jeremiah Smith and Tony are two best offensive players maybe in college.
By the way, can we go back to the toe tap rule? Because the way, and I understand, and they did a great job of describing it, but the way that he caught it. Mm-hmm.
So he didn't have ballet toes, so it didn't count. It looked like the front of the foot came down first.
It did. It did come down first. But according to the rule and the letter of the law, it's got to be clear
that it's your toes, not
that's toe and then heel and not all in one motion. But I think that should be a catch. That was a heck of a grab.
See, I told Conrad this morning, I did not watch Kirk Herbstreit and Fowler. I did not watch that broadcast. I watched SEC Network, watched and listened to the Ole Miss radio broadcast, which was a million times more enjoyable. And they called it, you can't say enough. I mean, they called it was not a homer broadcast. I mean, they were like, that should have been an interception. Oh my God, I cannot believe Miami just dropped that ball. That's the fourth time that Miami should have picked off Chambliss. Defense is not wrapping up. I mean, they weren't like being overly critical. They were just being honest. And even some of the questionable calls, that happened during the game, it was not just one-sided because they were broadcasting to the Mississippi fans. I mean, it was a very good broadcast. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Like I said, I did not hear Kirk Herbstreit or Chris Fowler one time last night. So it made my life much more enjoyable because I just can't handle the hyperbole of Kirk Herbstreit and his Big Ten he tries so hard now to be anti-SEC because he goes on all these podcasts and he wants to tell everybody that he's unbiased, and, he gets mad and starts cussing people because someone raises a question about, whether they're biased or not. But anyway, so for future reference, for those that have never checked it out before, if we ever, have an opportunity for an SEC team to be in a big game again, I would suggest going to the SEC Network and listening to the hometown broadcast because it's outstanding.
I do have to ask, was there any reports on where Lane Kiffin was last night?
Obviously, I was listening to the Ole Miss broadcast. His name did not get brought up one time.
Yeah, good.
He's busy whiffing on quarterbacks. Come on now.
Yes, he is.
So yeah. So just future reference, you can check out the SEC Network for the hometown broadcast.
And can we grant the waiver request for Trinidad Chambliss? I need another year of Trinidad Chambliss.
I'm right there with you.
Well, me and Pat were talking about it, just the snap, the release.
It's nice. He's really, really good. And I like it even more that he said he would come back to Ole Miss and not go to LSU if he gets that extra year. So all for it.
Speaking of Lane, if you think about it, within about an hour time frame, he loses a $4 million quarterback from Seattle, and then he loses another $250,000 bonus because Ole Miss lost. So that was an expensive night for Lane Kiffin.
Well, Lane, you got your coaching staff. So.
Yes, you got Charlie Weiss Jr.
Yep. Go and do wonderful things.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. But anywho, coming up at the bottom of the hour, we will talk to Wimp Sanderson. We'll get his thoughts and kind of start turning the page of SEC basketball on Saturday as Arkansas visits Auburn. And we'll talk to Mike Rodak, get the very latest from the Alabama set of things in regards to the transfer portal. When we come back, we'll give you the latest data on both Alabama and Auburn, what we're hearing, what has transpired, who's visiting on a very important weekend for both schools out of the transfer portal. All that straight ahead on this Friday on Jocks. It is 10:18. Welcome back on this Friday. Love to hear from you. 1-800-239-WJOX. The Courtesy GMC text line is open, 205-83450.
Well, flu season is here, so make your home healthier with Trane's Clean Effects Home Air Cleaner. It removes up to 99.9% of airborne particles, including those that cause virus. It's 100 times more effective than standard air filters and 8 times more effective than HEPA room filters. So go and find a dealer near you at Trane.com.
So one little interesting note till about a week ago when I was looking at the payouts and the interesting bonuses, because, we talked a lot about it last year, how much money the Big Ten was making for the playoff. And I was unaware until about a week ago, and I know a lot of people have been talking about it over the last 12 to 14 hours, that is made in the college football playoff. They do not, because of the way the ACC has set up their revenue share and bonuses, they get to keep all 20 that with FSU Dave or Dabo Swinney or James Franklin at Virginia Tech. None of those guys get a dime of it. All of it goes to Miami. All $20 million. That goes into a pot, and then obviously it's distributed amongst the member institutions.
So you have met your revenue cap.
Yes, you have.
With the college football playoff for next season.
You have.
Not bad.
See, I like that. And I understand there's a reason that it all funnels in through the conferences and things like that, but I kind of like the idea of you accomplished this, your program did, so you should be able to reap all the benefits of it.
Or at least the majority.
Or the majority, yeah. In my opinion, I mean, you accomplished it. You got there. Not Kentucky or whoever.
So very interesting. So Miami gets that $20 million. So we've got the Peach Bowl tonight over in Atlanta, Oregon against Indiana. I saw the total in that game has inched up a little bit. It is sitting currently at 49. It was at 47.5 yesterday. So it is kind of eked up a little bit. But
that makes sense. You had 50 total points scored in the first game in Eugene.
Indiana is a 3.5-point favorite. Very similar to the game last night between Ole Miss and Indiana went off as a 3-point favorite for
Miami.
For Miami, sorry, not Indiana and Ole Miss, but yeah, Miami and Ole Miss. They were a 3-point favorite, and the point total was 52.
Just needed them to hold them at the end of the game.
And if you're keeping up with better or forget it, everyone lost last night.
Yay!
Woo!
And we all picked Indiana tonight.
Woo!
Yep. So that means we will go to the national championship game, in which there will be a 1-game difference between Landrum and Conrad.
I thought we were tied going into next week, and I suggested to Pat, I said, what if me and Conrad just both forgot it and we're co-champions? But I'm up by 1, so it doesn't matter. Eat my dust.
Why would you want to do that anyways? That's lame.
I was kidding.
I think he wanted to share the title with you.
Yeah,
I think he was being nice.
No.
I was kidding.
We compete for wins.
Yes.
We don't tie.
And I have more than you.
This ain't no NFL. This is college.
And I have more than you.
We play for keeps. Yeah, you do for now.
All right, so transfer portal news. Let's start with Alabama. Keep in mind, transfer portal, got to have your paperwork in by January 16th. Isaiah Horton went into the transfer portal yesterday afternoon, checked in with a couple people. They were surprised. They did not see that one coming. But I had Isaiah Horton, up and down season.
Does he want to go back to Miami?
Possibly. But he obviously jumped in the portal. I've not heard anything from any Alabama people telling me that they're going to try to do what they can to get him to come out of the portal.
Not that you weren't going to put emphasis on Cam Coleman and his visit, but does that change things as far as potential packages, offers, which you could
Well,
have
I mean,
in
if
store for
you-
Cam Coleman? I would think.
If you subscribe to social media, and Molly, our 3-man front Twitter poll question of the day today has to do with Cam Coleman.
Yeah, what team will he suit up for in 2026? Will it be A&M, Texas Tech, Texas, or Alabama? And right now winning with 32.7% of the voters is Conrad and his Burners. With Alabama at 31.6, it is Texas, 23.9 Texas Tech, and 11.8 the A&M Aggies.
I've maintained from the beginning, I don't see him signing at Alabama. I'm honestly surprised that he got out of the state of Texas without already having an announced deal with someone, and maybe it's a wink, wink, handshake, nod, yes, you got my commitment to one of the Texas schools. I think all of us that cover this, unless Cam Coleman's going to give some kind of significant discount to Alabama, Alabama's got other issues that they need to go deal with outside of going to sign Cam Coleman.
I was about to say, that's kind of my thing is if you're an Alabama fan, I don't know if you want Cam Coleman, but do you really, in the reality of it, want to pay what it's going to cost to get him when
what's
you
it
know
gonna
that
cost,
could be
$2.5, $3 million?
probably $3 million?
Well, you could take that $2.5, $3 million to go obviously find yourself a defensive lineman and then probably throw in an offensive lineman.
I was about to say, I'd rather have an offensive and a defensive lineman than a Cam Coleman. Nothing against Cam Coleman. He's a great player.
I agree with you 100% there.
That's not the biggest area of need. And I know a lot of people brought up, again, I'm not comparing these guys to Cam Coleman, but a lot of people said, why Isaiah Horton? He's that bigger kind of 50-50 receiver. You need to replace him with Cam Coleman. Well, that's what you have in Derek Meadows and Sedarian Morgan and those guys. They have the same build. They're the same kind of receiver. Now, they don't have the experience that Cam Coleman does, but...
And they're cheaper.
Bingo. They're a lot cheaper.
If you're looking at your bottom line.
Correct.
I mean, you got to be smart. So, reports are that Cam Coleman will arrive in Tuscaloosa today. He's already taken official visits to Texas, Texas A&M, and Texas Tech. Some are hopeful on the Alabama side of things because of his 2-year relationship with Derek Nix, who is now at Alabama, that perhaps is the reason why he's coming to visit. He's got 2 former high school teammates that are on the Alabama roster. Don't know how important that is. So we'll see what happens.
I think proximity, I don't know why. Just my gut kind of tells me with Cam Coleman, just kind of reading him, that maybe Texas is too far and he would like to stay closer to home. So if Texas Tech, let's just throw out, they were offering $3 million, Alabama said, hey, we can do it for 2.3. That's what reportedly you were going to make at Auburn if you're going to be closer to home. I wouldn't put it past him because I've just heard other recruiting stories. I told you about Ahmad Hardy last year when he was recruited by Oregon. Yeah. They offered him over $1 million, but he chose to take about half of that
because he didn't want to go to the West Coast.
Yeah, and he's from the state of Mississippi to go to Missouri. I think that does play a part with some of these kids. So who knows? Somebody will be getting a good one. But I agree with both of you. Alabama, you got other issues. You can't unload the Brinks truck for one player. You got plenty of talent on that roster at that position. Anyways.
I mean, I just equate it. This is the way I look at it now. So I'm a huge baseball fan. Is you're looking at issues on a baseball team, and you need a power hitting first baseman, or you need a catcher, you need a center fielder for defensive purposes. But you go out and sign the biggest name to be your pitcher.
Yeah, to start every 7 days.
Exactly.
Maybe.
So it's like, what are you doing? You know, you're throwing all your money to a guy that's a part-time player. You know.
Meanwhile, you got a 40-year-old potbelly second baseman who's cleaning out aquariums.
I was going to say, it's not like the NFL draft where you just take whoever is best available because you need an offensive tackle and you'd be reaching for an offensive tackle. So you go and get the best cornerback or whatever. It's not like that.
Yeah. So Alabama, they were, unless something changes, and I have not seen anything in the last few minutes, whether Coleman has decided not to make his visit, but it was scheduled to be there with 5-star former Vestavia player Jordan Ross, who went to the University of Tennessee. Well, Ross went to LSU yesterday, and this morning he committed to LSU. So he will play for Lane Kiffin. And the word is he's making 7 figures at LSU. So he will not, obviously, make a visit to Alabama today. So Vestavia Hills' Jordan Ross has decided to go play for Lane Kiffin and the LSU Bengal Tigers.
It's going to be fascinating to see who's he going to get to play quarterback. You're loading up in all of these areas of need, and that's good. But what a bad look if Lane Kiffin can't find a quarterback.
Yeah, and we can get into that a little bit later because Matt Moscona was tweeting some stuff last night about Sam Leavitt being back in the mix for LSU, even though apparently, according to Moscona, based on his tweet, that things ended a little bit awkwardly during his visit in Baton Rouge. I don't know what that means, but he definitely gave us the impression that, you know, it was not the warm and fuzzy visit between Leavitt and Lane Kiffin.
So he was there before Tennessee, right?
Correct.
He caught Lane FaceTiming DeMond Williams.
Possibly.
What are you doing, Coach? Like at halftime, Lane walked into the...
He was on FaceTime yesterday. I saw that.
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
It was kind of a big story around the game.
All right, so a couple of visitors yesterday for Alabama on campus. LSU offensive lineman DJ Chester, 6'6", 315. He was a freshman All-American center in 2024. He was strictly an interior player. Baylor, Georgia Tech, Mississippi State, and South Carolina are also heavily involved. He had 15 career starts. Also, cornerback Carmelo O'Neal from Mercer. He was in Tuscaloosa yesterday. He's 6'4", 200 pounds. He had 36 tackles, 1 interception, 9 pass breakups. Auburn and LSU offered O'Neal on Wednesday, so we'll see what happens if Alabama is able to wrangle him in. He's originally from Atlanta, Westlake High School. And now all of a sudden, Alabama seems to have re-engaged with former commitment Ty Haywood. Remember, the 5-star offensive lineman, he was committed to Alabama throughout the whole process. And then right before signing day, he flips to Michigan. Michigan paid him a lot of money, which, again, that's legal. But now all of a sudden, Alabama is back in the mix with a conversation with him. But this is the one that I really want to come to Tuscaloosa. This is the one. Irish kicker Lorcan Quinn. He is a first-team All-Sun Belt place kicker from Marshall. He never played American football until he moved to the United States last year. He was 21 of 26 on field goals, including 4 of 6 from 50-plus yards. Alabama is extremely interested in him.
Sign him now.
Is it Lorcan?
Lorcan Quinn.
Quinn?
Yeah, you need him.
What a
Sign
very
him right
non-Irish name.
I was really hoping the Ole Miss fans were going to boo the kicker after he missed and he was going to get in the
transfer to
portal,
Alabama.
but we'll take the Marshall kid.
Lorcan Quinn.
Lorcan Quinn.
Lorcan Quinn.
Lorcan Quinn.
We'll have to tell Chris Stewart if he signs with Bama and he ends up winning the job over Connor Talty to see if he'll do it like in an Irish accent when he lines up for a field goal. I don't know. We'll see. All right, meanwhile, the Auburn Tigers, quickly before we get Coach on, Arkansas State defensive lineman Corey Sigler, he signed with Auburn. You heard his name at the beginning of the week, and then I think Alabama was interested in him, a couple other schools. So this immediately fortifies the team's run defense after Malik Blockton's defection to LSU. Sigler finished the 2025 season with 35 tackles, including 7 for loss. Sigler previously spent 2 seasons at West Alabama before going to Arkansas State. Meanwhile, a couple wide receivers visiting Auburn, Ohio State transfer, 5-star, Mylan Graham. He's there. LSU wide receiver transfer Kyle Parker is also there. And also on the plains for a visit on Thursday was UCLA cornerback transfer Andre Jordan Jr. Also, former Alabama DB Cam Calhoun is going to visit Auburn this weekend. If you remember, Calhoun originally was at Michigan out of high school, transferred to Utah, went from Utah, transferred to Tuscaloosa, didn't get a lot of playing time in T-Town. He did have one interception before he had one interception at Utah before he transferred to Alabama. So he is going to be in Auburn this weekend. Auburn is extremely interested in Cam Calhoun.
And they're still waiting on USF wide receiver Keaton, who's a 6'3", 215-pound guy, but expected to make his announcement, I guess, before the weekend, is according to Jeffrey Lee, who joins our show. They're 3, but that would be a really good add to the wide receiver room as well. But, yeah, a lot going on. I think Ricky Gibson was a guy that Auburn really wanted, but you can't blame him.
Nope, he will be in here. We will talk to Coach Wimp Sanderson, brought to you by Crane Works, next. Coach Wimp Sanderson is going to join us momentarily, brought to you by Craneworks. Before we went to commercial break, we were telling you about some of the information we had on the Auburn situation. Of Auburn just moments ago, Landrum, a player that you were just mentioning, big wide receiver heading to the Plains.
Yeah, Keyshawn Singleton is his name. He was the guy that Auburn fans, and there's been a slowing Alex Golish in his new position, but Keyshawn Singleton was one of those guys that had still not committed/signed, but he is an ad. A junior, 6'3", 215 pounds, originally from North, but a big play type of guy, and another weapon for Byron Brown that he's very comfortable with.
Each and every week, brought to you by Craneworks, we have an opportunity to catch up with Coach Wimp Sanderson.
Load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah, the big dog's got it.
Wimp Sanderson on Three Man Front is brought to you by Craneworks. Lift it, buy it, rent it. The big dog's got it. And now, Wimp Sanderson.
Coach Wimp Sanderson joins us here on the program. Coach, what'd you think about the game last night?
But I'll just go ahead and say y'all not going to brag on me. I picked it was 3.5. Peach done a really, I think, and their ability from McCall as far as compare that that he can calls for him. Was there a penalty on the end zone?
This is the third champion.
Yep.
In disturbing trend has become.
Balance because of I'll okay.
Okay.
Giving out the award. I will. At the stage, I had a feeling that the people who count had sort of wished it was Georgia. Not that they were against Ole Miss, they weren't. But I think they thought that Georgia had a better chance to win it all than Ole Miss did, and that's not being anything. I like Ole Miss a great deal.
Yeah,
but I had that feeling. I don't.
I agree with that.
About it. I think it was just a feeling that as I watched them give out the trophies and so forth, I thought to myself, I think they would feel better about it going into these Final Four if it was Georgia because they'd won it before. And my hat's off to Ole Miss. This quarterback from Ole Miss. Let me tell you something. It all comes down to, when they find him, he goes in there as not a starter, and then he turns around being a starter. And then you take some of the schools, I won't mention them, who picked quarterbacks, and the coach lost his job over it. It's all evaluation. You're being able to evaluate and do the very best job you possibly can. Now you can evaluate one right, he ends up wrong. You can evaluate one wrong, he ends up right. That's hard. I evaluated a bunch of basketball players in my day. I got some right, I missed some. So that's sort of where it happens. You go into the transfer portal and you got to get the right guy, and if you can't get one, and picking a quarterback is darn hard. This guy's a really good player. I mean, he can really play.
Coach, I want to ask you real quick. When you were just talking about missing on evaluations, and so I heard Alex Golish when he was introduced at Auburn. He said we got to be elite in evaluating our guys. What were some common traits or examples of things that you just didn't know when you thought, you know what, I've got a pretty good read on this kid, and it turned out not to be the case?
Well, I would think attitude-wise, sometimes you didn't see it, but I wanted to see a guy that could run, that could shoot the basketball, that could run with it. Naturally, rebound and jump was important, but if he could shoot the basketball and he could run, Everybody used to ask me all the time, when you gonna get a 7-footer? I said probably never, because they can't run well enough to suit me. I just think that you got to evaluate a guy that can play. And as Alabama evaluates shooters, because they're shooting a lot of threes, and naturally they've done a good job of getting shooters there. So it's you got to be sure that you know what you're looking for and what you can get. Now it's totally different now than it was when I was doing it, because and I would also go when I was assistant coach. I'd have the other two guys. I was assistant 20 years. I'd have somebody else go look at the guy and compare him to what I was looking at, and I'd have the head coach look at it. And then when I got the job, I had two assistants go with, not at the same time, and look at the kid, and I'd go and look at the kid, and then I'd tell them what I thought. And it wasn't really easy, but you had some guys that jumped right out at you that you knew could really play, and you had some guys. Keith Haskins was a great guy in Athens. He was a great player for me. He was a guy that I watched run and thought he could really shoot, and I thought he was going to be a good player. And sure enough, he was terrific. And he was a guy that some people maybe weren't quite as sure as I was. Anyway, it's going to be interesting, and I'll pick at the end real quick, and I'll get out of y'all's way in just a minute. But switching over to basketball, if you want to see a good game tomorrow, you'll see Tennessee and Florida in the opening game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll be one of your better games. Right now, your six best teams. Now, I don't mind saying the six I think are best are Vanderbilt, A&M, Arkansas, Florida, and Tennessee, and Alabama. I think those are the best right now. There's no Kentucky in that group. And I know we're 0-2 right now. I know we've only played 2 or 3 games, but I think your last 5 right now: Ole Miss and Texas and UK and Kentucky and Auburn and LSU. So that'll get better as time goes along. You'll improve some, but it's going to be interesting to see. Sort of where the league is. Most people are saying that 10 people in the league, 10 teams in the league can get in. So Tennessee is good again. I always talk about the 3 teams that each team plays. Auburn plays Auburn plays. Everybody plays 3 teams. You have 6 on the road, 6 at home, and you play 3 teams twice, and you have 6 games. My opinion, and I'll give it to you, I think Alabama wins 5 out of 6. I think they might lose at Tennessee. I doubt it, but they might. But they're going to win 5 out of 6. And I think Auburn is probably going to be 3-3. They've already lost at Georgia, and their other 2 opponents, of course, are Alabama and Ole Miss. So it'll be interesting to see exactly if Auburn can get a move. And of course, the tough loss that they had against A&M was tough, and it could go either way, and didn't. So, what else?
How mad would you have been if that would have happened to you? What happened to Auburn the other night against Texas A&M?
I'd have had them relook 15 times. I mean, I made them look at every angle possible. When they threw the monitor on the 2 officials, and 3 of them were there, but 2 of them the monitor came on. They pretty much in their evaluation, they kind of agreed with each other. They did. I don't know that it wasn't for show. I think they felt like that they were making the right choice. And to be honest with you, and I'm not against anybody, I think I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't know. It's from a different angle, a little bit different angles, and so I really can't really say exactly whether they miss a call or not. But it's a tough, great shot. Tough loss. Very fortunate for A&M to win the thing. A&M's got a good basketball team, and Auburn is hopefully going to get a little bit better defensively. And if they do, they can make some strides in it. But they've got Arkansas coming to their place. I think it's at 5:00 tomorrow. And then Alabama and Texas play, and Texas is just so they're okay. And of course, if I was coaching, I'd be worried sick. But I think Alabama has a good chance to win that one. And I think Auburn could bounce back against Arkansas. Arkansas is playing well, and the funny part about the league, y'all, is Kentucky. Kentucky loses at home against a Missouri team who play darn hard and they're pretty good. Kentucky, in the studies that I have made, for some unknown reason, are not making any baskets. They're not scoring well from the three. They're not turning the crowd on. And when the crowd gets turned on in Kentucky, I can tell you, went up there 1,000 times. When the crowd gets on to Kentucky, not only does it affect their team, but it affects the officials. And it just has to some degree, and some of them not only they cheat, but it
right.
affects you a little bit. But they're just not really. They don't seem to. They're playing, and they played Indiana the other day, and Indiana was playing slow, and they played slow too, and they just never got into the game. So, anyway,
you got a blue plate?
Yeah, I do. I know I got to go, but let me say this to you. I only got kicked out of one game since I was coaching. Y'all know what that was.
Was it a tournament?
And again, you don't know who it was against.
Was
All
it
the years I coached.
Was it against either Indiana or North Carolina?
Bobby Knight.
Yep.
Got screwed right after the national anthem. It was terrible. Yeah, it was terrible. So anyway, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take Indiana.
Okay.
It's 3.5. Appreciate Craneworks having me on. Craneworks always is great. David and them do everything they possibly can to have the equipment ready for you to go. It may be rental work, Craneworks, whichever it is, or rental work. They will have a personalized person go with you to help you operate the machine. They'll build it up or they'll tear it down, whatever you want them to do. And you can't beat David and you can't beat Craneworks. Appreciate you guys having me on. Talk to you next week. So that's it for today.
Coach, we appreciate it as always. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Coach Wimp Sanderson, presented by Craneworks on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham's your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. Second half of the college football semifinal. We'll get that tonight. Indiana, Oregon. We break it down next.
Always a great segment with Wimp Sanderson. If you missed it, you can always download the Three Man Front podcast, 247. Get the very latest on what's going on with the Alabama transfer portal. We got some heavy rains that's coming in through Birmingham and central Alabama, and that's why you need to have Golston Tree Service on your phone. Put it in your phone right now, 205-337-4443. Golston Tree Service. They're licensed pros. They handle everything from trimming and pruning to full tree removals. Fast, safe, they're affordable. Don't wait until the next storm causes damage. You need to call Golston Tree Service. They offer 24-hour emergency tree service, 205-337-4443.
Text line is open 205-834-9450. We go there quickly. Kirk Herbstreit is the Ohio State version of Danny Cannell, according to one of these listeners. Going back to the broadcast on ESPN, Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit. This one reads, it's the Howard Dean-like screams by Fowler that annoy me. If you're not ready for them, they can catch you off guard. I thought that Carson Beck was a 6-year senior. We're talking about Carson Beck earlier. Trip, Pat, Landrum. Dang, I had the over 53.5 in Ole Miss plus 3.5 in a parlay. Was rooting for an overtime. Wow, I know parlays aren't smart, but as we all try them every once in a while, did not bet singles on this game. It can be tough. Going back to Mario Cristobal after the score from Carson Beck late in that game. Read Cristobal's lips, one of our listeners texted in. When Coach hugged him after Beck ran in for the touchdown, he said, "Get the bleep off of me." What a classy guy, Susan and Avondale.
See, I took that as
the game's not over. There's 18 seconds left. And guess what? As it turns out, Mario Cristobal knew what he was talking about because Ole Miss had a shot at the end zone from the 35-yard line.
That's exactly what I thought too. Was 18